Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a really fascinating historical character study straight from our source material. We want to understand exactly why Prophet Muhammad was given the title Al-Ameen long before his prophethood. It's an incredible story about character, reputation, and leadership, and we're going to break it all down for you today.
Here's how we're going to map out our journey. We'll start by looking at the title of Al-Ameen itself, explore his early life and wisdom, and examine his reputation for honesty. Then we'll dive into the famous Kaaba stone dispute, and finally look at his legacy of generosity.
All right, let's jump into section 1, the title of Al-Ameen.
So what does this actually mean? Well, Al-Ameen translates directly to the faithful or the honest. And the crucial thing here is that he didn't just give this title to himself. It was bestowed upon him by the people of Makkah. The sources show us that even in his youth, way before any major historical events, he was universally recognized for his exceptionally good character and wisdom. To really grasp why this title was such a big deal, you have to look at the stark contrast between him and his environment. Think about Makkah at the time. It was rough. We're talking sudden outbursts of bloody quarrels, people completely ignoring the law, and just daily misery. But Muhammad? He possessed great wisdom, incredible manners, and morals. He actually had a heart that grieved when he saw the misery of others. He lived a somewhat solitary life simply because he was so saddened by the lawlessness around him. He was a complete anomaly in his society. Moving right along to section 2, early life and wisdom.
Now, you might be wondering how a character like that is forged. Interestingly, it's a story of unimaginable, rapid loss. His father, Abdullah, passed away before he was even born. His mother, Amina, cared for him but sadly passed away when he was only 6 years old. After that, his grandfather took over, but he also passed away just 2 years later. Ultimately, his uncle, Abu Talib, had to take charge of his care. These are profound serial losses that would easily destabilize anyone. Yet the sources note he grew up as a highly obedient, remarkably grounded kid.
Which leads us to this wild moment when he was just 12 years old. He's on a long desert journey to bus route with his uncle, and during this trip, a monk named Bahira spots something totally exceptional about this supposedly average boy. Bahira actually pulled his uncle aside, warned him to protect the boy carefully, and predicted, "A great career awaits your nephew." Abu Talib didn't fully get it at the time, but it just goes to show that his distinct character was obvious even to total strangers early on.
Let's get into section 3, a reputation for honesty.
So picture this. He's a 25-year-old poor orphan working as a humble shepherd to help his struggling uncle. But his moral character is so rock solid that it opens a massive door for him. He gets hired by Khadija. Now, Khadija was a very wealthy, noble widow in Mecca. She had already turned down plenty of wealthy suitors because she was looking for one thing, a truly honest man to run her business. She heard about his reputation as the most honest guy around and hired him on the spot for a major business trip to Syria. She actually sent her servant along to keep an eye on him. And when they got back, the servant's report absolutely amazed her. He said, "This young man is the kindest I have ever seen," noting he was never harsh like the other merchants. Plus, the servant shared this fascinating, kind of mystical detail. While they were traveling under the scorching desert sun, there was always a cloud following them, giving them shade the whole time. But look, it wasn't just his manners or the mystical shade that impressed her. The guy was incredibly competent. He brilliantly conducted her business and returned with double the profits. He took her initial merchandise, sold it, strategically used those profits to buy new goods, and then sold those too. So the big takeaway here is that Al-Ameen wasn't just honest. He was smart, diligent, and incredibly effective. Khadija was so blown away by this rare combination of pure honesty and capability that she actually fell in love and sent her sister to propose marriage to him. His response? It tells you everything you need to know about him. He just chuckled in amazement and said, "How could I marry her? She has turned down the most noble men in a city. They were much wealthier and prominent than this poor shepherd." Even after proving himself to be a massive success, he stayed totally grounded, seeing himself as just a poor shepherd.
All right, section 4, the Kaaba stone dispute. This is where his reputation literally saves the day.
Fast forward a decade, he's 35, and Makkah is on the brink of an absolute disaster. They are rebuilding the Kaaba, and every single tribe wants the exclusive honor of raising the most holy relic, the black stone, into its place. The tribal leaders are literally ready to draw swords and fight a bloody war over this prestige.
the whole region is about to be plunged into chaos. Just as tensions are about to boil over, a senior citizen steps in to stop the madness. He throws out a simple, fate-driven rule to the angry tribes. He says, "You will listen to the first man who enters through that gate." Amazingly, the people actually agreed. They backed down and waited, trusting fate to give them a mediator. So the crowd is glued to this gate, and the very first man to walk through, none other than Muhammad. And here is the absolute kicker. Nobody groaned, nobody protested. They immediately accepted him because they knew him as Al-Ameen, the faithful one. Because of his absolute track record of fairness, every single warring faction trusted his judgment instantly. He assesses the situation and settles this massive dispute with just pure diplomatic genius. He gives them 3 simple, perfectly fair steps. First, place the holy black stone on a piece of cloth. Second, one representative from each tribe grabs a part of that cloth. Third, lift the stone together. It was brilliant. He created a shared honor, totally diffused the tension, and the rebuilding was finished without a single drop of blood being shed. Which brings us to our final section, Part 5, A Legacy of Generosity. As he grew in standing, his loyalty to his community remained unbreakable. For example, there was an incident where a guy named Usman ibn Huwairith came to Mecca trying to tempt the territory into Byzantine or Roman control using a bunch of gold. Muhammad immediately stepped up. He intervened and warned the people about this political manipulation. And because he was Al-Ameen, they listened. The foreign attempt to subvert their independence completely failed. And through all his success, he literally never forgot his roots. He used his personal wealth to aggressively give back. When his uncle Abu Talib, the man who raised him, fell on hard times, Muhammad stepped right in and completely cleared all of his uncle's debts using his own money. But he didn't stop there. He took on the education of his uncle's son Ali, and a year later even adopted another one of his uncle's sons, Aqil. His generosity was so practical and deeply personal. So, pulling all these distinct threads together, the tragic youth, the flawless business dealings, the genius diplomacy, and that immense personal generosity, we are left with the core question of our explainer today. Ultimately, why did the people call him Al-Ameen? The sources make it absolutely crystal clear. While the society around him was fracturing into lawlessness and petty chaos, his consistent, unbroken record of kindness, honest business, and selfless generosity proved he was a total exception. He didn't just avoid the corruption of Mecca, he actively healed his community, earning the absolute trust of an entire society. Looking at this profound character study, it leaves us with a pretty powerful question. How differently would history have played out without the presence of the faithful one? And honestly, how much does our world today need that exact same level of unwavering integrity?